Raw took place tonight in Inglewood, California at Intuit Dome. This was the same venue that hosted the first Raw of last year, which was the Netflix debut. It also hosted last year's Money in the Bank show, and tonight it also served as the go home show to SummerSlam, which takes place this weekend. And speaking of SummerSlam, the match that's practically promoted as the biggest match of the weekend, that's WWE on all their social media pages has this as their cover photo. It's the Brock Lesnar Obafemi Hell in a Cell match. And it doesn't surprise me because that is getting all the top views on their YouTube channel and all on other social media. The most interest is in that match as it was during WrestleMania season. So Brock and Oba opened the show tonight. The Hell in a Cell was lowered down to the ring with classic music, which was great. The classic Hell in a Cell heartbeat type music, and they've always used that. It adds identity to the structure, even though I don't think the cell's going to be used much on the show during the match they have. But I did like the music, and you had Triple H and Adam Pearce in the ring, and this was the official weigh-in, by the way. I don't know why they needed to use the Hell in a Cell tonight. What was the point? Like, why did they even need it to do a weigh-in? You could have just done a weigh-in without it. And I'm just saying that because it costs a lot to transport that fucking thing. It's not easy to construct that thing. That thing is massive. It's a much bigger Hell in a Cell than they've ever had. It's bigger than the original cell, which is my favorite. And then they updated that cell, made it bigger. Then it became red, which I hated, and then it's went back to the gray color now. This new cell, it's a monster. I'm just thinking, like, why did they even bring it there? Just it costs so much to transport. They have to transport it now from Los Angeles back to Minnesota now. Anyways, you had Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar heading to the ring in the backstage area. Oba was out first. He came in the ring after making his entrance. He weighed in at 302 pounds. Then Brock was out, accompanied by Paul Heyman. Instead of going in, he locked the cage door, so he couldn't. Oba wasn't as strong as Kane was when he just like ripped it open. You remember he just tore the door off the Hell in a Cell, but this is a much stronger cell. Maybe it's a much bigger one. So I don't know, but I just thought like the whole thing is Brock locks everyone in the cell because he doesn't want to go in. I'm just thinking to myself, Triple H is in the ring. Why doesn't he just order them to lift the fucking cell? I mean, he should have just done that. It would have made more sense. Lift it up, and then Brock has to get in the ring and do the weigh-in. It made no sense to me. I just think it made everyone look stupid. So there was a million armed security guards in the ring, by the way, and Paul Heyman's mic kept going out, which was funny. Brock supposedly weighed in earlier in the day at 303 pounds. Brock calls Oba a bitch. Oba cut his usual promo, not anything different. It just feels like they're just kind of coasting here. They've already built it up, and they're just using recycled material because they don't have anything new, or maybe they don't want to give anything else away. They think they're set, and I guess maybe that's an issue of having too much time to build up a show. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, Oba starts after Brock leaves. Oba starts beating up the cops in the ring, and he's supposed to be the heel. I'm thinking, when he beat up the cops a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, I mean, those were fake ones. And that was okay, I guess. Here, it's like, aren't they actually armed security? Why is he just beating them up? They did nothing wrong. Anyway, I did not like this segment. I thought it made everyone look stupid. I don't think it made Opa look good. Him beating up, these cops who did nothing to him. And made Triple H look like an idiot. Why can't he just raise the fucking structure? And what's the point of even bringing the cell there just to do this stupid segment here? Anyway, I didn't like this. So then we get to Reigns and Rollins. They did Chapter 6 was next, and this was the Royal Rumble in 2022. Their match wasn't very good. That was a horrible Royal Rumble show, by the way. Then they do the Usos. Then we see the Usos, Jacob Fatu, and Roman Reigns all arriving into the arena. And then the Vision were out next. Had to mention this. They show us after a break some of the beautiful palm trees of Los Angeles. It's quite beautiful, the scenery. It's really nice to look at. Then they promote WWE Radio. Of course, they bought Busted Open. It's available on Sirius XM. Dave LaGreca selling out to WWE. They show Ryan Garcia in the crowd. I guess he's a well-known boxer. I'm not aware of who he is. I don't know. Then Alpha Academy were out next. We got the Vision against Alpha Academy. Otis and Tozawa of Alpha Academy against Austin Theory and Braun Breaker with Maxine Dupree and Logan Paul in their corner. So Braun kills Tozawa with a spear to win. They continue to beat down Tozawa. Otis tries to make the save, but then Maxine Dupree distracted him, and the camera had to get under Maxine to show us her ass, which is nice. And then Braun Breaker would spear Otis. And afterwards, Theory just smashes Otis in the head with a steel chair, destroying him. We go backstage to see the lovely Jackie Redmond in her nice blue dress, which were highlighted by her beautiful blue eyes. I didn't realize how nice her eyes are. Anyway, I really do like Jackie. She was interviewing LA Knight backstage ahead of his match at SummerSlam this weekend. We got a Raquel Rodriguez and Sol Ruca video promo to promote their match. Raquel was she was backstage. Raquel was with Roxanne Perez. And then we see Sol Ruca warming up in her locker room. They show us a bunch of celebrities in the crowd after the break, and someone who was there, I wasn't expecting to see him. It was Jimmy Hart. Yes, Jimmy Hart in the crowd, really. And this is the same building where Jimmy Hart, he made an appearance with Hulk Hogan on the Raw debut on Netflix last year, and that turned out to be Hulk Hogan's last appearance in WWE. And that was when he was booed out of the building really badly. And Jimmy Hart was there looking shocked. I felt bad for Jimmy Hart having to go through that. It's like, oh, they're booing Hogan, but Jimmy Hart probably didn't feel too good. Anyway, he was in the he was in the crowd wearing a Danhausen shirt. So I wasn't expecting to see him there because, what happened last time. And I don't know if I think he lives in Florida. He doesn't even live in LA. I don't know why he was there, but and he's over 80 years old. Doesn't look it, but he made the trip to Los Angeles, I assume, to do some media. But probably had to be a little awkward stepping into that arena. That's where Hogan was booed badly in his last WWE appearance last year. We got a Chad Gable video promo ahead of him wrestling in Minnesota for the Intercontinental Championship. Of course, that's where he's from. Then we got an Io Sky video promo. Javon Evans was out next. And then after the break, Rusev was out. Javon Evans took on Rusev and won. May as well cut Rusev. There's nothing to him. They're not doing anything with Javon either. It's like, all right, they're using Rusev to give him experience, someone who we can work with. But it's like with Rusev, what's even the point now? Then we go to Reigns versus Rollins. This was chapter 7 or 8. I don't know. I think it might have been 8. It might have been 7. Anyway, it was called Old Ghosts, and this one highlights WrestleMania 40. Seth stopping Roman Reigns from cheating in the main event. Not really. I mean, he did, but it was a Bloodline Rules match. He was dressed as the Shield member, and it cost him the match because Roman could have attacked Cody with the chair, but then he saw Seth dressed in the Shield gear. It triggered all these memories, and it led to Roman attacking Seth and costing him the championship. They show Seth Rollins backstage, and by the way, I really missed that WrestleMania 40 season with Final Boss Rock and everything. WWE was so much more fun 2.5 years ago than what we're getting now. After they show Rollins, they went to break, and we got the Joe Hendry and Danhausen concert. This really sucked. Danhausen was like doing a Ric Flair strut to start. And then they had all these mini Hausens in the ring. There was the Los Angeles Clippers cheerleaders there. Then eventually Ryan Garcia joined them, but then he turned on them. He attacked Joe Hendry with a guitar, hitting him over the back like Jeff Jarrett. And then Dom and JD, Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough come out and attack Danhausen. They beat up the minis. This segment was fucking trash. Garcia stands tall with the Vision. Oh, I hated this or the Judgment Day, not the Vision. I get them confused now. But this segment was ass. Then we got a Penta video promo. Rey Mysterio was out next after that. And then they show us some of the sights. They show us Pacific Park at Santa Monica Pier. That looks so beautiful, that amusement park. I have this weird, deep nostalgia for it because one of my favorite horror movies ever made, The Lost Boys, features the Santa Monica Pier. It's just so beautiful to look at because it's the coast and the ocean and the whole visuals of it and the wooden deck and all the Ferris wheel and the roller coaster. It's such a great visual, and I love The Lost Boys. Seeing that, but also I used to always visit this, not in real life, but in Grand Theft Auto 5. I used to always go to Pacific Park, loved going there, loved just seeing the sights, looking at it, and I'm looking forward to Grand Theft Auto 6. That's going to take place in Miami, Vice City. No Lola Vice, unfortunately, but I guess the hero, one of the female leads is kind of like Lola Vice. I don't know. It kind of looks like her. I guess you can think of that. I don't know. But I used to always love going to Santa Monica Pier all the time in that game. Anyway, just had to mention that. We got a Big Cass video promo. No mention of Enzo Amore. I'm not sure if they're going to bring him in. And if they do, I think he'll only be a manager. He doesn't really need to be a tag team. We got Ethan Page and Rey Mysterio. Their match. Rey actually paid homage to Eddie Guerrero, which got some Eddie chants. Ethan won the match. LA wasn't happy with the result. They were upset. Los Angeles really loved Rey Mysterio. We got a Liv Morgan video promo. All I can think of is, wow, Liv is just so pretty. Her face is beautiful, isn't she? Anyway, yeah, we all know Liv Morgan's very pretty. Danhausen was in his stupid lair backstage with all the minis. I fucking hate the minis. I don't want to fucking see El Chorito, whichever mini is going to be back. And then Adam Pearce walked in. It will be a human monies match on a pole at SummerSlam. Yeah. Human monies on a pole. I always get bad flashbacks like Judy Bagwell on the forklift. But WWE used to always do pole matches like back in the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era after that. They would do those pole matches a lot, so it's not a thing I haven't seen before, but I don't know. I've never been a huge fan of the poles. Those matches, it's never not some of my favorites. The Usos made their stupid Yeet entrance. They were in the ring after the break. You can hear me yawning right now. I had to cover my mouth. Solo Sikoa interrupted them. The only person who enjoyed this, seeing Solo going back and forth with the Usos, was their father, Rikishi. LA Knight was out next. It led to Solo and him attacking the Usos. Jacob Fatu was out before Royce Keys made the save. Keys brawled with Fatu, and eventually the faces, Royce, LA Knight, and Solo Sikoa, are left standing. And I think I get these three stables all fucking confused. The Bloodline, the Judgment Day, Division. Okay. There's three stables on this show. The Bloodline is going to win at SummerSlam, I believe. And then they had Brock Lesnar and Obafemi, a video package in which the Hell in a Cell came alive. The Cell was fucking talking, yes. They actually had the Hell in a Cell talking. That was cool. I mean, I think TNA used to do that with their Lockdown pay-per-view. The six-sided cage would talk. Anyways, Sol Ruka was out next. I can tell immediately by her body language that she was losing the title tonight. She looked upset. She looked like she was saying goodbye to the Women's Intercontinental Championship with the way she was looking at it. Go to break, and then they show us inside of the Intuit Dome. It really is a true state-of-the-art facility. It looks great. And then we get the Women's Intercontinental Championship after the challenger Raquel Rodriguez was in the ring. She challenged Sol Ruka, and then you had the biggest spot of the match was definitely that really plagued the whole match was Raquel just getting her nose busted. I don't know if it's broken, but man, like something happened. I think Sol did a springboard moonsault to the outside. I think her knee must have like hit the bridge of Raquel's nose because Raquel was just bleeding like crazy. Like it was like she was dripping blood from her nose. And it didn't stop. She bled continuously throughout the whole match. They showed Lyra Valkyria watching backstage, of course, looking crazy. No mention of Bayley, by the way. I'm aware Bayley participated in the WWE house show in California. Remember, she's from California, so she can make the appearance. I don't believe she's coming back to TV. I think she's done. I'm sticking with that. I don't believe we're going to see Bayley anymore. Anyways, going back to this match, Raquel was busted, and then Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez interfered. First Roxanne, and then Liv came out, but then what happened was Io Sky came out wearing a nice dress, by the way, and she brawled with Liv Morgan. She had a bullet train onto Liv, onto the post on the apron, so they were both out. But then Sol went for the Soul Snatcher on Raquel Rodriguez. The issue was the referee had his back turned because of Liv and Io brawling. So Roxanne stopped Sol from hitting that, and then that allowed Raquel Rodriguez to hit the Tejana Bomb on Sol Ruca and pin her 1-2-3 to win the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Raquel Rodriguez gets the biggest win of her career on the main roster, her first singles title. She is the Women's IC Champion. She celebrates with her girls. Lucky her. I wish I can celebrate with Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. Two 10 out of 10s easily. Two insanely sexy women. I'm a big fan of both of them. But yeah, Raquel celebrates with them. She's the new champion. Definitely good for Raquel. I just hope like she doesn't miss time now because of her injury. Because I don't know if her nose is going to be busted. It might be broken. And it was busted actually, but she probably has a broken nose because the way she was bleeding, it was like a boxing fight or an MMA fight when someone like bleeds like crazy. A lot of times that's a broken nose. And I've seen that in wrestling multiple times actually. I was just watching Unreal. Remember Tiffany Stratton at Elimination Chamber? She was bleeding like crazy from her nose. But it wasn't broken, so maybe it's not too bad for Raquel. But it man, like she was bleeding bad. We got a CM Punk and Cody Rhodes video promo. That's when they previewed SummerSlam, the announcers. And then we got Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. This was Chapter 8, I believe. And this was the final chapter, I guess. The grandest stage. Just recapped WrestleMania 41. And with Paul Heyman turning on Roman and aligning himself with Seth Rollins, only to turn on him later in the year, last year. So I'm convinced that this was all set up for Roman Reigns to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 42 this year, because the way last year ended, Seth pinned Roman in the main event, and 10 years prior to that, WrestleMania 31, Seth also pinned Roman Reigns in the main event. So the fact that Roman's been pinned twice by Seth, and I think it was really setting up for Seth to go into WrestleMania the following year as World Heavyweight Champion. Roman beat him, but then everything changed when Seth got hurt, and then Punk became champion. They went with Roman and Punk, and I think we're gonna get. I think what the matches we're getting at SummerSlam this year, the two main events, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, and then Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. It's pretty obvious that was going to be the two main event for WrestleMania a few months ago for 42, but then injuries changed everything. So I guess we're getting the two main events at SummerSlam. And to be honest, it probably wouldn't have been that much different because the WrestleMania main events, the build-up wasn't that good. The matches, the show was not good. And SummerSlam, the build-up hasn't been that good. I don't think the show's going to be that good either. So then Roman Reigns was out next. After the break, Seth Rollins was out, and we had the face-to-face segments and the show. I just thought this was boring. They said the same shit they've been saying the last few weeks. It just felt like they were copying the same material, and then they used that they've been using the last few weeks. Nothing new at all. Then Roman Reigns attacks Seth Rollins. He grabs a chair. He got back in the ring, but he hesitated. It took too long. Seth recovered, hit a curb stomp onto Roman Reigns, onto the chair, and that is how Raw ended tonight. in Los Angeles. Not a fan of tonight's show. I thought it was too long. I thought it was boring. I felt like everything was so generic, and there were some bad segments. It wasn't awful. It's just like for a go home show, it really didn't get me that excited to see SummerSlam. It was just like kind of there. They built everything up fine. It's just like for us, you would think a go home show would be just more entertaining for a major show, and it really didn't feel like it. It just felt like it was such a paint by the numbers show. They just copy and pasted what they've been doing the last few weeks. I don't think the build up to this year's SummerSlam has been that good, so that's not a good thing. And it just felt like such a generic show. It didn't make me too excited to see the show this weekend. But that was Raw, and this was in Los Angeles, which served as the go home show to SummerSlam.